Hi, welcome to the first bonus episode. I just am ranting about Xenoblade, and I forgot to say in the actual video itself, but there is no spoilers until the end, where I'll give a thorough warning. So don't worry about that. If you're worried about spoilers, it's perfectly fine to watch. Hello, welcome to a bonus episode. I mentioned this in the last episode, episode 7, that I had some stuff I wanted to talk about, but didn't feel like it made sense to be in an actual video. And I just need something kind of grindy to do at some point. And, honestly, that was kind of hard to come up with. I was kind of hoping I would already have, like, something to do, but I don't really. But we can use our new bridge to get over to this area, where we are going to section off, not quite a chunk, because I can't find a way to actually section off a chunk in this version. I would put it here, but I think maybe right here. 12. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then from here, we just do this. And this is just so that we don't have to even worry about mobs while I'm doing this. I'm just going to dig hole. The true Minecraft experience. But we're not here to talk about Minecraft. I am instead, and I need to turn off the music so I can put my own in post. Because, it makes sense. There's only one kind of music I could put to this. And that is, of course, Xenoblade, because that's what we're here to talk about today. Oh my god. So there was the recent Nintendo Direct on June 10th, I believe it was. And in that, they announced something for basically every part of Xenoblade. The first thing that they did was announce a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of all the games that didn't already have it, which is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade 2, and Xenoblade 3. Each of them not only are getting the standard performance upgrades and visual quality upgrades that every Nintendo Switch 2 edition gets, and that the Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition got, but they're getting bonus things on top of that, and that's where the real excitement lies. And there is a much more attractive topic to be talking about, but I'm going to save that until after I've gotten these less exciting things out of the way, which is crazy because this is so unbelievably exciting. If all that was announced was just this first thing I'm going to talk about, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, which they should not have a name that long. If it was just that, I'd be over the moon still. I'm very, very happy about this announcement. So, what was actually announced that I'm so excited about? So, for Xenoblade 1, which is what I'll be calling it, because it's just so much easier than that whole thing I just said. For Xenoblade 1, we got... Well, what the trailer started with was the Etherjet, which is a new vehicle, of all things, that will let you just move faster. And along with that, they've added races to the game, so you can race against your party members. Sadly, no online functionality. That would have made it, actually the best update ever. But by doing that, you can also get some extra rewards, which are new costumes for everybody. And this is not as, maybe not as exciting as it would be for other games where there maybe aren't a bunch of costumes already built into the game, but an extra set with, I believe, some color variations as well is more than appreciated by me. And honestly, the bike itself, or I'm just going to call it the bike instead of the Etherjet. The bike itself is cool, but it's not really that exciting. And that's all that they added, I believe, for Xenoblade 1. Aside from the standard they added one other really big thing, and that's that they brought back all of the voice actors for the party members, so that all heart-to-hearts, which are voiced cutscenes, or they weren't voiced cutscenes, but little cutscenes between party members, that you could optionally do for some rewards, I think. They're now all voiced. For the first time ever, these heart-to-hearts are getting voiced by the original voice cast, which is crazy because the game came out 10 years ago, more than that, and that's just kind of insane that they brought them back for that. That's also because they have new voice lines for the EtherJet itself, but it's so cool to see that happening, and I'm really excited to replay that game once I eventually get my Nintendo Switch 2, which I still don't have because, well, there wasn't anything new Xenoblade on it. So why would I have it? Who needs any other games? Uh, so that's all super, super exciting. But one quick side note on that I want to go on is I love the speedrunning scene for these games. And the fact that you can now move at, I think it was up to 4 times the movement speed in a game where walking is a good portion of the run, because it's a massive, massive world. And you explore basically the whole thing, or rather, you have to walk from one end to the other. But that obviously saves a bunch of time, but also in the expansion story that's unique to the Definitive Edition, not the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, the Definitive Edition, which is the remaster for the Switch. Unique to that is a special epilogue that takes place after the game story, and the speedrun for that is mostly known as a walking simulator, at least for the first half of the run, because you spend the first 15 to 20 minutes just running around because it's basically an open world. It's a really small area, at least compared to normal Xenoblade games, because it's only one area basically. But you explore everything because you can, and it's faster to just do that since you can get some rewards along the way and pick up some other things that you would speed up the run. So you do all the walking first, and then you do a bunch of fights. So it's really frustrating to like do a run of that and then have it die and have to go through a 20-minute walking cutscene. That's just like brutal on the mental. It has to be. I don't know. I've not done it myself, but I've heard. And now I watched a run after, because this version is currently out right now. I watched a run from that, and it felt like I blinked and suddenly they were at the final boss. Which I should mention now, I'm not going to be discussing any spoilers until I say that I will. I'll give a warning ahead of time. So all of this is perfectly fine. I might have to edit something in at the start saying that, because I completely forgot, and that's really important to say. So, yeah, that run used to be 30 minutes. It is now down to 18 minutes. That is a insane time difference. And that's just so cool to see such a huge difference. And also, for the longest time of the mainline games, not any additional stories, Xenoblade 2 was the fastest speedrun. Now, it's getting blown out of the water by Xenoblade 1. So much time save. I haven't researched it enough to say any numbers confidently outside of the Future Connected stuff, but it's big. Alright, I need to quickly make a couple chests here to empty my inventory. And I need to make 2 more pickaxes. So, small break as that is the end of what I have to say about Xenoblade 1. And I have to put this all away manually. It's a bit annoying. Alright. On to Xenoblade 2, which that's not out yet. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition is not out yet for that. I believe that's coming out early July, which is when I'm hoping to get my Switch 2. So, that's going to be coming out very soon, and I'm very excited. And what's new there is they've added a new mode where you're able to control blades, which are it's really weird to explain, but the way that the game works is that you have a driver and a blade. You control the driver while the blade gives you the power, or gives the drivers the powers that they use. And so you were never able to control the blades directly. And so now you're able to do that. Not in game, not in normal gameplay. You do have to go into a special mode. We don't know anything about it really, other than you can control blades finally, and that's really cool. as that's something I've wanted to do with the base game blades forever. Uh, the other thing that they're doing is they're adding a new blade, and that's a big deal because the actual party members, the drivers that you control yourself, don't actually. They're not that different from each other. It's the blades that give them different abilities. So they're the actual like party members in the traditional sense of like in the gameplay sense. They're the different party members, and they're adding a new one, which is crazy because this is new content, new story content. Maybe not like it's not main story, and it's new like gameplay element that is added to the entire game, and it's the first new blade since the DLC ended. And the DLC ended, I believe, in 2018. So this is absolutely insane. Xenoblade 2 is my favorite game of all time. Sometimes it's constantly going back and forth between Xenoblade 2 and Celeste, but it's so I'm so excited for that. Like I can't really put it into words just how exciting that is to get an update to a game that stopped getting updates 8 years ago is unbelievable. And I'm so excited, and I feel so sorry for the poor Monolith Soft employees that had to go and deal with the code in that game. It's not pretty from what I've heard. So that's Xenoblade 2. Now, Xenoblade 3 is the easiest one because we saw that there's another new mode. We already have two different challenge battle modes in the game already through the DLC, but now there is a third one. We know nothing about it other than we saw a little bit of gameplay of it, but I don't think it told us much. I haven't seen any analysis on it. Uh, so I don't know. But they're also adding a new hero, which is basically the equivalent to Blades in Xenoblade 3. They're slightly different, and they themselves are not super impactful. However, they do give new classes to your main party members, which means you basically get the same effect as a new blade. So that's very exciting as well, but it's further away and it's not Xenoblade 2, so I'm a little less excited. Uh, Saying I would not say that I'm not excited or even close to that. I'm ridiculously excited, but it's it's not Xenoblade 2, so it's not winning first place. Which none of this is in the first place because, well, we are a good ways down now. Wow. I think it's about time that we talk about the main event, which is Xenoblade Genesis, which is the new mainline game that has just been announced. Well, like at the same time as the others, just slightly after. We got the first trailer, and it's around a minute 30 seconds, I think it was. I just watched it for the fourth time actually. I saw it in the direct, and I was over the moon. I actually screamed a lot less than I thought I would. Maybe I'll go dig up that footage and put it in here somewhere, because I did record my reaction. And so I'm so excited. There's so much I have to say about it, and I think let's just go over the basics first. I'm so excited that there's a new Xenoblade game. We knew it was coming. We weren't sure if it was going to be announced this year or next year. We've known that they've been working on it since probably before Xenoblade 3 finished development. Uh, it it's so pretty. It's so gorgeous. It's got this like it's clearly running in the same engine as Xenoblade 3, obviously updated, but like the character models and some of the just like you can just kind of tell. But they've definitely updated the graphics and like the art direction so much. It's so pretty. I can't even describe it. I It's gorgeous, and I look forward to it, and I look forward to just looking at it. All the Xenoblade games are really pretty, but this one's going for a whole new different kind, and I'm very excited for that. I think the most striking aspect of the visuals from the trailer is that we can see the world is a hollow planet, as in there is no sky. If you look up, it's just the rest of the planet. It's all within a sphere. And that's a concept I've never actually seen before. I don't think it's like super original or anything, but it is something that's new to me, so I'm very excited about that. that kind of feeds into a point I'll get into later. Uh, so I'm really excited to see that because, well, if you can see somewhere, you can go there. That is the general like idea of Xenoblade. At least all the Xenoblades that isn't Xenoblade 2. That one kind of has to cheat just by design of its world. But in Xenoblade 1, if you see a place on the Titan, there's a good chance that you get to go there. In Xenoblade 3, well, you can just kind of see everything. Uh, and in Xenoblade X, you literally can go anywhere. There's nowhere you cannot go. You can fly in that game. And there's no restrictions on it, other than you can't go up infinitely, I guess. You can't fly off the planet, sadly. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to fly off the planet in Genesis either, since there is no sky to fly up into. Alright, this is another little crafting break. Burning through my iron, but I wonder if I'm going to actually come out of this iron positive, because we've already gotten 2 veins. And can I reach this chest still? I might want to drop off my items. Yeah, okay. So that's, like, visually, I think it's really pretty. I have a bunch of, like, points on my other monitor that I'm trying to look at, but I didn't write them out with like anything I had to say specifically in mind, or if it had anything to do with spoilers, but I think I'm just going to go over that. Just give me a second to move OBS out of the way. Okay, nice. So one of the first things that we see, or hear in the trailer rather, is the narrator saying, anima is the source of all things, or something like that. Fire, water, wind, everything. I think that's like very rough paraphrasing. And that just instantly reminds me of Ether from the. I don't actually remember if it's in X too prominently, but in Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, which those have something called Ether, which is just like a particle that just makes up the world. It is the most like essential of things, and it's just innate to the world. And I think this is just kind of going off of that same general concept, but it seems to have a lot more of a central focus put on it. Because there's no way in a Xenoblade, like the first line in a Xenoblade announcement trailer for like any of the older games, there's no way they'd start it with an explanation of Ether of all things. It's just not important because you can just say, like, it's fantasy. You don't need to explain that there is magic when magical things happen. Especially not in the first trailer. There are more important things to establish. But this was mentioned very prominently, so I'm curious just how much of a presence it'll have. It's also later mentioned in the trailer, I think something about an anima crystal. And that is very interesting because, well, actually, I don't have much to say about it, at least not without spoilers, so it's just kind of another hint that anima is going to be a lot more important than Ether was to Xenoblade, at least in the story itself and maybe thematically. There's anima. We also, just going down my list, there's, in the trailer, if you pause at the right time, you can see in the background there's some characters with very prominent tails. And this seems just, again, like it's building off of a concept from mostly Xenoblade 2, where some of the on the different places in the world, in the different countries, there are different races, or different humanoid races, and one of them happens to have, I think it's specifically like cat ears. And so seems to be kind of the opposite. I can't actually see if they have any like notable ears or anything. They're way too far off in the background, and it's way too grainy. So I can't really tell, but they definitely have tails. So it'd be really funny if it was like they just did the opposite of the Gormati. That'd be just kind of silly. And I also noticed that there's a lot of terrain features that are very reminiscent of past games. there is a big, like, uh, ring embedded into the terrain that we can see pretty early on in the trailer. And that reminds me a bunch of a specific spoilery location from Xenoblade 1 uh, that houses a town within it, as well as, uh, most notably, the Oblivia ring from Xenoblade X, which is, I mean, they just kind of look the same. It's a massive ring that's embedded into the terrain that clearly looks unnatural, but also doesn't look to be, at least currently, man operated. Uh, and so, yeah, I don't know. I think that's interesting. There's also very prominent, like, spikes in the terrain. Oh, I didn't consider that there could be caves. That's annoying. Uh, this zombie is also annoying me, so I'm going to turn off the sound now. So hopefully I put in music that's entertaining. More so than the sound of cobblestone breaking. Yeah, so there's these like wedges that come out of the terrain that are very reminiscent of similar features from the Bionis leg, which it's like the most iconic area in Xenoblade 1, uh, as well as it's actually featured in Smash Bros. As the stage for Xenoblade 1. Which is for some reason called Gower Plain, even though it's not. It doesn't take place on Gower Plain, so that's weird. There's a whole thing there. All right, I'm gonna try and I'm just gonna ignore this half, and we're just gonna do like this, and we're just gonna hope we don't hit the cave because I don't want to deal with it. So yeah, I think that's interesting. They seem to be keeping up like an identity for the series still, and it's interesting to see the ways that they're doing it. And a bunch of this could be coincidences, but at the same time, they also could not be coincidences, and I wouldn't be too surprised if they weren't. What's my next point? There is a very iconic. No, maybe I'll save that for the spoiler section. There's also going back to the uh, Ether Stone or whatever it's called. Or not Ether, Anima Stone. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. Uh, it seems pretty similar to core crystals, specifically blade core crystals from Xenoblade 2. Just a powerful stone that is embedded in weapons that gives you special powers. That seems very similar to blade crystals or blade core crystals. Next up is yeah, actually in that same scene, the crystal transforms into the shape of a sword, and it specifically looks like the Aegis sword from Xenoblade 2, specifically Mithra's. And I actually have a mouse pad that has the designs of the two Aegis swords on it, so I am familiar with the designs, you could say. I see them every day. So I'm decently confident that it at least looks very similar. Whether it actually is well, it's just very, very unlikely that it actually is. Because if that were there, there's a bunch of implications that that would have, and I don't think they want to make that. They made it very, very clear that they are trying to do something new this time. Uh, so I can't imagine that would be. There we go. I've properly sectioned this off. Also, I think I can do this half as well. So I'm gonna cut through here and maybe not hit the cave. Good. Alright, then it's not a problem. And I'll just put that there just for now. So that's something. I don't know. I'm not really making points more than I am just making observations right now. Which maybe isn't... I don't know. The whole reason I'm doing this is just because I want to talk. Just talk about it. You know. For a moment, when I was going back through and just looking over the trailer again with a friend, right after the direct, we noticed that there was somebody who just very clearly just had a rifle, and I was very surprised by that until I remembered this isn't Fire Emblem, and it is in fact normal for characters to have just guns in Xenoblade. They're usually a little bit more magical, but this game seems to be a lot lower tech and rely more on magic than it does technology, which Xenoblade is a lot more technology, or not Xenoblade. Well, uh, all the previous Xenoblade games relied a lot more on technology, especially X. All right. Very, very sad thing is during the entire trailer, we do not see a single Nopon. Which, if you don't know what a Nopon is, it is basically the mascot creatures of Xenoblade. They're in every single game. They're little round fluffy orbs with very, very small limbs with also large wings they mostly use as hands. And they're very great. I love them. They're super iconic, and I don't want them to go. That's the one thing, if there was anything that I wanted them to keep from the previous games, it is Napon. And I'm very sad to see them go. So I'm hoping that they just didn't include them for some reason. What we did see was some weird cat creature that looks like the weird guys, like the weird companion things you get in Monster Hunter, and that's pretty off-putting to me. I don't want to see Nalbon go, and I definitely don't want to see their replacement. That's just gonna feel bad. And then there is at the very end a very very scary line for Xenoblade fans. All right, I have something else that I wanted to talk about. Still related, of course, but I do have some concerns for this game. There are some things that are off putting to me, and I wanted to just talk about it because I fully, completely trust Monolith Soft and their vision for this game. I fully believe that they can deliver an amazing experience that I will be happy to have played and be incredibly happy that it was made and probably obsess over for years and years to come. I have no worries about that. But that doesn't stop me from being human. And when I first saw the trailer, I was a little bit concerned because I saw a lot of stuff that was familiar. And not to Xenoblade, familiar to other things. Something I've always loved about Xenoblade is just how unique its concepts feel. And I know that they're not that unique, but I think it all just comes back to the idea for the idea and the execution for the Bionis and the Mechonis simply cannot be topped. It was such a phenomenal idea for a game, and they executed it so perfectly. And so, like even when Xenoblade 3, after I finished it, I still didn't feel too good about it in some ways because the world just it didn't have that same feeling that the original Xenoblade had. And this isn't like even nostalgia talking really because I it's weird. I don't really have a first Xenoblade game, but that's a whole different discussion. So, well, there goes everything I was saying. Well, I'm very good at commentary. Have you noticed that? I was I was worried about Xenoblade Genesis because I saw a bunch of stuff that looked familiar to me, and familiarity doesn't feel like Xenoblade. And so when I see it's mostly the damn elf ears because that's so generic fantasy to me, you know? And I've consumed enough generic fantasy to already have a predisposition to sigh at that. To be like, okay, well, you gonna do anything interesting with it? Probably not, because that's what 90% of what I see is. I know they're gonna do interesting things, I know that it might not just be a minor detail of the character designs, that it doesn't really matter, but still, it was off-putting because it was familiar, and it was not familiar in a good way. And that just kind of continued throughout the trailer. The art style is very pretty, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so happy that that's what they're going with for the next Xenoblade. But it still felt familiar to me for some reason, and because of that, I felt bad about it. And I don't really have a point here, other than I know that it's going to be a good game because I already trust Monolith Soft to deliver a good game. But I guess I still have those worries because, well, those are normal worries to have. Uh, and maybe this can like reach someone who's worried about the game for similar reasons to how I was, and probably still will be for a while. Because it is, yeah, I don't know. I was worried. I still am. And I know that those worries aren't founded on anything with basis. It's just, they still are there, and I wanted to express them. And I think that's the biggest thing that I really just wanted to say because I don't know. I just needed to get it out of me, say, hey, I have acknowledged this, and now let's move on and just get hyped. Because there's so much to be excited about. If you're a Xenoblade fan right now in June of 2026, you are having the best time. They didn't shadow drop an announcement trailer like they did for Xenoblade X. And, well, I mean, Xenoblade 3's pre release was actually really, really cool. They got a whole direct themselves. They got to be the ending stinger for a direct. They got to be the like ending drop Xenoblade, which is crazy. And they also moved the release date up. Like that's so cool. That's so cool. But I'm so excited for the new game, and I think now we're going to start talking about spoilers, which I have cut this into right in the middle. I've already talked about all the spoilers, so that's all. And that's also why the hole is further dug than it was before. I'm going to jump back in time now. And now is when I have to give the spoiler warning. So now is your chance. Escape while you can. There will be spoilers for Xenoblade 1, 2, 3, and their expansions, but not Xenoblade X, as I have yet to finish it. I'm working on that right now, and I'm very close to being done. So, spoilers. This game has a lot of very, very close references to past Xenoblade games, but not exact. Uh, the only one I've mentioned so far uh, explicitly was the Aegis sword transformation from the core, like the crystal thing. That is like the biggest. I need to look at it closer. I haven't actually like paused and looked at it, but if it is, then that's big. That means that it's a continuation. Uh, the general idea of Xenoblade, and the big spoiler is that all the games are connected despite not being connected on the surface. And they all tell one story. Well, they tell two stories and then one story combined. It's a whole thing. You know the whole thing because you are here after the spoilers, and you better have not played the games. Go play the games if you haven't. It's worth it. Trust me, it will change your life. So, Xenoblade 3 Future Connected ended with the worlds being combined again. And we have a lot of hints. Oh, we already have a pickaxe here. We have a lot of hints that there is that this game, Xenoblade Genesis, is that continuation, or at least I believe it to be that way, without looking too hard at anything. And that's because there's just too many things that look similar. There's the formations from Bionis Leg. It could be that they're just trying to keep a visual identity, but it could also be that they're just there and they have just been eroded over time. It's clearly been a long time, and the people of this world do not know about the past. They do not know about what happened during the Klaus Saga. So, it makes sense that things like ether are instead called anima. It makes sense that nobody's recognizing the uh, the parts from Mechonis. It makes sense that people aren't realizing the formations for Bionis leg. Uh, and there's probably other things like that in there that I just haven't seen. Uh, and so that's really like without watching it again, I don't know if I can say any specifics, but there's just so many little things. There were a bunch of very clear references to past iconic moments. Uh, I think I swear I wrote down one of them, or at least one more of them. What was it? Right, Sword Valley. So at the beginning of Xenoblade 1, there's the whole cutscene with Dunban at Sword Valley, right? And that felt really reminiscent to uh, the scene from the very start of the trailer with the like big war going on. And you could also say no, but that seems a lot more reminiscent of the similar scene from the opening of Xenoblade 3, but that scene is also a reference to Xenoblade 1. There's a reason that it started like that, and part of it is because it references Xenoblade 1, because that's a lot of what Xenoblade 3 does. So, oh, I'm out of inventory space. I don't need the flint. I'm going to be fully out, though, here in a second. Honestly, I think I might kind of be done talking, or at least I might stop for a bit, take a break. But yeah, I'm very, 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 very excited. Right, the other iconic scene that seemed to be like directly paralleled was uh, the scene where the supposed main character is like holding their sword out to some sort of mentor figure. And that just looked a lot to me like the flute swap scene from Xenoblade 3. Just the way that it's held, the like, I don't know, like softness in the scene. It felt very similar to that. Uh, and yeah, I have some other stuff I want to talk about, but I think I'm gonna leave it. Bye, love you.